Welcome, dear friends, to another study of the book Courage by several spirit authors through the mediumship of Francisco Xavier. What a blessing to be with you today as we meditate on the many chapters of this amazing book so we can learn what true courage is from the superior spirits, especially to you and I. And as soon as the British Union of Spiritist Federations bring about a new translation for this book, I'll let you know when it becomes available for purchase. Today, we'll be talking about liberation. We're going to have the wise words of the Spirit Emmanuel. And this is chapter 35, which means, dear friends, we've been together for the past 36 weeks for the book Courage. And today, just as last week, we were enlightened by Emmanuel, talking about boundaries, talking about the importance of trials. And today, he titled his chapter In Order to Liberate Ourselves. And who does not want to be liberated, right? But you ask me, to be liberated is to be what? To be free. But free of what? Free of our lower tendencies, free of our dependence, our attachment, our still attraction to those things that will not allow us to ascend. Ascend where? To become one day the superior spirit that we are meant to be. So let's talk about the chapter today. I'll read the chapter and I'll go back with some comments that I prepared for us today, of course, always under the guidance of the superior spirits. Chapter 35 by the Spirit Emmanuel, titled In Order to Liberate Ourselves. Emmanuel says, quote, laziness maintain our mind unoccupied and our hands idle. An unoccupied mind and idle hands always find untidiness. Untidiness results in time without discipline. Time without discipline leads to a lack of vigilance. This lack of vigilance then supports useless conversation. Useless conversation only makes the darkness of spiritual blindness even denser. Spiritual blindness promotes imbalance. Imbalance attracts pride. Pride feeds our vanity. Vanity aggravates laziness even more. He continues. As it is easy to perceive, laziness is liable to unleash all that is bad, just as darkness is capable of inducing us towards all kinds of errors. Therefore, we come to understand that obsession, madness, pessimism, delinquency, or illness can appear due to an authentic fertilization by idleness, which intoxicates the mind and ruins lives. Thus, we should recognize that the first step towards liberation from inertia will always be to work. Emmanuel. So we will be using this time together every week for self-reflection, because he starts with laziness, and laziness unleashes a cascade of events that leads to more laziness and then stagnation, and we continue attached and attract to those activities that prevent us from liberating ourselves. And he's saying the antidote, or the way for us to, the first step towards being liberated from inertia, is to work. So, self reflection. How much of my time I'm dedicated to work in a daily basis? Mind you, if you're new to Spiritism, I'm not talking about work as your profession, because that's work in the various forms that takes on the earth. Because even with your vocation, your education, your vocation, your profession, you can work as well towards the good of all. That's in the book Foreign Life. Those are 3 chapters from the book Foreign Life, where Emmanuel teaches us how to use those, our vocation and our profession, especially to the benefit of the common good, not just for selfish reasons. But let's be honest, how much time? I'm talking about the law of labor that defines in the Spirit's book, third part of the Spirit's book, that defines labor as any useful activity. If we're being very honest, and or we are using these guys to track our time, this is a cell phone. If you're listening to when I say this, guys, this device is a cell phone. It could be a tablet, could be your computer. How much time do we stand in idleness? We are busy because we are addicted to busyness in this society, doing, activities, 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 without discernment of what's important, what's not important. Martha versus Mary. Remember, choosing the right activities. So if you're really honest, we spend a lot of time in idleness when you're scrolling, liking, right? So that's when laziness, with procrastination, is preventing us from moving forward. Then the first step is to work. So let's look at how much the amount of time that we spend idle or laziness, or how much time we spend in work. Because we can be here right now working. And that's what we're doing. This studies at Cardiac Radio here that I'm recording from the Spirit Society of Richmond, or the studies I do here at the center with the group, the studies you do at your home, in your gospel home, the studies at your Spirit Center, that's work. It's not paid by definitions of the world, but it's work. It's paid in a different currency. Let's put it this way. It's not paid in the currency of the world, but that's work. So we can be at our jobs, doing our job and our work, job, getting a paycheck, and still working as the spirits define user. I can prepare the meal if I'm a cook or I'm a waitress and still serve others with love and with kindness, thinking of that food as nutrition for the body. That is the instrument that we have in the physical realm to execute our incarnatory plan. We can be taking care of our family members, and that's work, or we can just be mindless scrolling and doing the things that we do. Because he's saying, not me, Emmanuel is saying, I'm reminding us. All the hosts remind ourselves first, because I hear myself before you do, right? All of the hosts are also learning. And then these are things that we prepare under the guidance of the superior spirits, because we want to be self-reflective. There's no more time to be idle. This laziness gets the mind unoccupied and the hands idle. So we're not doing much. Now, not unoccupied mind and idle hands fight untidiness. So we're not organized, we're not tidy, we're not clean. Untidiness results in time without discipline. It could be this sense of anxiety, of hyperactivity, where we're doing, but we don't have a plan, we don't have a way to anchor ourselves into a master plan of our reincarnatory events. Time without discipline leads to a lack of vigilance. How many of us are not vigilant with our lives and times? We pick a notification here. 3 hours later, we're still on the main platforms of the world doing things that are not important. Lack of vigilance supports useless conversation. That's when we engage in what? Complaining, victimizing, thinking that we are victimized by the world, gossiping, very destructive, noxious spiritual fluids being exchanged when we sour the reputation of others, for example. And he says, useless conversations only make the darkness of spiritual blindness denser. How many times we've engaged on the cooler, we meet a colleague, oh, see what so-and-so did, or we talk to a person, well, look what happened, none of our business, not important for our growth, not a case study as we can notice from the books for us to really learn from. It says, spiritual blindness promotes imbalance, health effects, emotional effects, illnesses, unexplained. Imbalance attracts pride. We think we're the best at everything. Pride feeds vanity, and vanity aggravates laziness. So we enter in this circle where laziness begets laziness. This is the beautiful thing about these books. Nowhere else in the world you're going to see this type of teachings. The world is not ready for it, right? Otherwise, Jesus would have brought it to us. And he will say, it's easy to perceive laziness is liable to unleash all that it's bad, just as darkness is capable of inducing us towards all kinds of errors. And I have not even touched the fact that when we engage in laziness, unoccupied mind, idle hands, untidiness, no discipline, lack of vigilance, useless conversation, spiritual blindness, even worse, imbalance, pride, vanity, and then more laziness, who else is there with us? The spirits that accompany us, the mentors and guides, yes, but the spirits who like what we're doing, spirits who like to gossip are there when we're gossiping. Spirits who like terror, um, horror movies, they're there when you're watching those kinds of contents. Spirits who are angry are there when we get angry at others, and then we can't get out of the cycle. So we are making connections every time we make a decision not to take this step towards liberation. When we are with an idle mind and then, with an unoccupied mind and idle hands. And of course, there are the millions of people, billions of people who are actively engaging in work, just as you are doing right now. So the question is, can we sustain this ability to work, to serve, to engage, to care, to be more empathetic, so that we can combat the laziness that is still inside of ourselves, so we can move towards liberation? Yes, there is that opportunity. There is a choice that our will needs to overcome. We have to say, I will that I will be work, because when we are ready to receive work, the spiritual mentors connect with us, connects to others around us, and the work appears. It seems a coincidental that someone calls you and you have a conversation, you agree to do something for the good, but it's all planned and it's all based on vibratory attunement. So when you read a message, when you do the gospel at home, when you go to the spiritist center, unless you are definitely you are contagious with some illness, don't go, stay. But if you can, go, especially if there is one around you, and engage in this exchange, this building of relationships in both realms, with those who are in the physical and those who are in the spiritual, because we are made to live in society and to exchange and to complement one another. And who else better to exemplify everything that we're talking about? Because he, when he was incarnated on the earth in the body of a man in the Middle East, Jesus was never idle. He was always working, and he is our guide and our model, and we need to imitate his behavior until it becomes automatic in us to always serve, to always serve, so that we can liberate ourselves from the inertia and we can grow and we can be responsible for more and more works of the good to help the planetary transition and stay attuned with the earth so we can help it progress. Dear friends, what a blessing to be with you. It's always an honor to be here. Please write, comment, subscribe, like, follow, do all the things that are necessary to make this content reach those who are in need. I hope to see you again next week. Always, God willing, stay well, stay safe, and I will see you soon.